Hello everyone, my name is Alim and I'm from Brunei Darussalam. So for today, I would like to talk about environmental changes and human health. In Brunei, the growing concern with climate change is the increase in temperature and rate of rainfall. So it poses a few threats on our health. For example, increase in vector-borne diseases such as Zika, malaria or dengue. And adding on, frequent flooding also causes various injuries and at the same time affecting our food and water supply. So action really needs to be done in order to combat this problem.
And we can start simple. For example, reducing use of plastic, where we can use recycled bag instead of plastic bag. And in Brunei, we have a no plastic bag policy in supermarket, which has been implemented since the year 2018. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Nat. I'm from Cambodia. Let's do a challenge together to reduce the use of plastic and try to use eco-friendly products instead. The fact that our school has provided many water fountains around the campus indicates that the school is trying to create an eco-friendly environment, and it's our role as youth to start using them. Besides having water fountains, local businesses such as cafe shop also trying to replace plastic cup with paper cup instead. These small actions of ours can make a huge differences in our environment.
This video was made for our common awareness of the current situation, specifically carbon emission.
Carbon produced by human activities and the restart will have a negative impact in our life on Earth, such as drug and reduced source of clean water, extreme weather and natural disaster, and various other natural damage. Presidential Regulation Number 98
to reduce carbon footprint in our daily life while inviting to surround us participate in this. We can do:
get in the habit of saving energy, bring a drink and don't forget to use public transportation. If we don't do anything today, then the big change will be more real to come, whether you like it or not.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to use reusable containers instead of disposable containers to take out coffee and cake from cafe. I ordered drink and cake and asked cafe staff to put them in the containers I prepared. I could get a discount for using reusable container. I am ready to go back home and enjoy the dessert. Try use reusable containers. This could be a small but definite step for net zero future.
Hello everyone, I participated in the Net Zero Challenge. I chose not to have disposable chopsticks. I brought reusable container and asked them to use it by taking out food with reusable container. I could contribute to net zero future. For a week, I participated on this challenge, small but definite effort for the net zero.
Hello, in my own country we discuss about improvement carbon neutrality and law of youth, so we join challenge together.
So hi guys, I am at the backyard of my house. Today I'd like to do the AKYS Net Zero Challenge. I'll be planting a tree, a lychee tree. Replant a tree can help to restore the oxygen and can help to absorb the carbon dioxide that have been released from the human activities.
¿Me graba? the U of Neural country, under the heading of implementation of carbon neutrality and rule of view, we will introduce two challenges that can be implemented, cover things in the daily lives of human beings. So let's get started. The process of creating plastic emits huge amount of carbon dioxide. I have the best way to reduce using plastic. Use your own bottle. Wouldn't it be nice to have your own bottle instead of buying plastic bottles or plastic caps? Let's reduce using plastic, which also reduce carbon emission. Next one, planting trees is one of the most effective ways to reduce carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. Trees provide many benefits to us every day. Let's work together and reduce our carbon footprint by planting trees. These challenges are very easy and simple, right? Let's try with me. After net zero, move towards a better future.
Mabuhay! Kumusta? I'm Angel from the Philippines and we have one question for you. How long do you use gadgets every day? A 2020 study revealed that an average person uses at least 8 hours of technology a day. Under the future of eco-friendly and green technology, that's not very eco-friendly. As the youth from the Philippines, we challenge you to use a gadget only 1 hour a day. Does it seem difficult?
For us in the Philippines, it's very important for us to take a break from using gadgets because we spend most of our time in online classes. This benefits both our health and our environment. By taking time off gadgets, we use this time to
Read a book. Cook. Exercise. Play with pets. Sleep. Easy, right? The challenge towards carbon zero starts now.
Hello everyone, welcome to my vlog. So today I'll be talking about green and eco-friendly technology in Singapore. So Singapore is a very small country with very little land and almost no natural resources. The only piece of green technology that will be viable for us to achieve carbon neutrality will be solar technology. However, existing solar cells are not very efficient at achieving this goal. Therefore, the Solar Energy Research Institute of Singapore, or SERIS, has come up with a new type of solar panel called the monopoly cell, which will be able to achieve very high cell efficiency. I have done my part to raise awareness of this solar cell and hopefully get more research funding. Now it's your turn to do your part.
Eating plant as the main food will help with the sustainable of food at the world, according to SDG 2, 12, and 15. Ta-da! This is plant-based black pepper chicken. Let's test. Look at this juicy it is. Ending with almond milk. The smell and taste are not familiar. Have to adjust a little, but I like it. So for today, don't forget to allocate at least 1 day a week to eat plant-based food. Bye-bye!
Good morning guys, I am a delegate from Vietnam and today I'm gonna show you one way to implement carbon neutrality, that is planting more trees. As you can see, I am putting the salt into the newly planted tree and you know, this just is kinda fascinating. Planting trees to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide released into the air is one of the most effective methods to implement carbon neutrality. So let's try this if you can.
Good morning, good afternoon, and of course, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, and our summit delegates. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the 2022 ASEAN-Korean Youth Summit. So we opened this year's summit with a very meaningful video of the online challenge that we have participated in together to take simple steps towards a greener future. And before we begin the opening ceremony, I would like to announce that this opening ceremony of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit is being live streamed online as well. And for those who are watching our session online, we have prepared a special streaming capture event. And for more information, please find some more detailed on the appealed screen, ladies and gentlemen. But we would like to ask your deep understanding that this online event is only available for those who are joining us here in Korea. But once again, to all of our participants and overseas delegates, thank you for your time and thank you for gracing this opening ceremony with your presence. Thank you. And today, delegates from ASEAN states joined us online, as I mentioned earlier, and our delegations from Korea is joining us here at the site. Moreover, we are joined by many distinguished guests who are joining us here in person despite their busy schedules. So now, I would like to introduce them. So once I mention their names, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. And once your name is called, please stand up and please wave toward the camera on the stage. 여러분 지금부터는 귀한 시간 내서 함께 해주시다.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will now be introducing the VIPs for today. When I introduce them one by one, please give a very big, warm, welcoming round of applause. And for those of you who I call out your name, please stand up and wave for the camera.
Our distinguished guests who are joining us today. First and foremost, please join me in welcoming Her Excellency Lee Gi-sun, Vice Minister of the Gender Equality and Family of the Republic of Korea. Please welcome her with a big round of applause. Thank you so much for your time today. And next, Mr. Adrian Lee, Deputy Chief of Mission from the Singapore Embassy. Thank you for your time today. And next today, we're joined by Mr. Nguyen Bien An, a Deputy Chief of Mission from the Executive Office of Vietnam Embassy. Thank you. And next, we're also joined by Dr. Sheila Abisinge, Asia Regional Director and Head of Programs at Global Green Growth Institute. So please welcome her with a big round of applause. Last but not least, Ms. Han Park Ha-young, a project manager at Green Environment Youth Korea, is joining us today. So please welcome her with a big hand as well. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, today we're joined by more distinguished guests. But due to weather issue, some distinguished guests are coming right now. So once they arrive here, I'd like to introduce them once again. And on behalf of the organizers, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to all of our online and offline participants and distinguished guests. And ladies and gentlemen, now please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jessica Lee, and today I've given the honor of being your MC for this very special occasion. So I would like to greet you all in Korean traditional way. 여러분 먼저 인사 올리겠습니다. 저는 이 소중한 자리 사회자로 함께.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jessica Lee, and it's truly an honor and delight to be your MC for this very special occasion.
Much. And as I mentioned earlier, delegates from 10 ASEAN states joined us online, and Korean delegates joined us here at the venue. So now, let's meet the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit participants. As you can see on the screen, please wave your hand, online participants. Welcome to the opening ceremony, and thank you for your time. Thank you, and let's wave them and greet all of our participants. So, in order to commemorate this meaningful occasion, we'd like to have a photo session with our participants, online participants and venue participants. So let's look at the camera, your own camera for online participants, and those who are joining us here at the site, please look at the camera on the stage. 현장에 계신 참석자 여러분들께서는요, 앞쪽 카메라 봐주시고 함께 기념사진.
For those of you joining us offline at the venue, please look into the camera and big waves with a very big smile, everyone.
1, 2, 3. Yes, and then let's make a finger heart, Korean finger heart. 손아트를 한번 만들어 보도록 하겠습니다.
Let's make finger hearts, everyone. Very small hearts. Thank you very much for your cooperation. These are the Korean small finger hearts. 1, 2, 3.
Yes, thank you very much for your participation. Until last year, the ASEAN-Korea Summit was mainly hosted through video conferencing systems. However, from this year's summit, we officially opened our own space AKYS World on the Metaverse platform ZEP from July 28th. So please look at the screen. I would like to introduce them one by one. Summit Metaverse has spaces named Main Space, Net Zero Town, and of course ASEAN-Korea Town, as you can see. So let's take a look at each space together. At the main world, you can find Summit's information desk with ZEP and AKYS World manuals. On the history wall, you can watch previous Summit videos. And on the photo zone, you can capture your avatar and upload your memories to our gallery. And of course, we have prepared a special networking zone for small and big groups. And if you move to the main space on both sides, you will find exhibition walls. There, you can find brochures and final recommendations made by previous participants as well. And on the main stage, everyone can watch the live streaming of the opening ceremony and closing ceremony. Also, some of Summit's linking programs will be hosted at this stage. OX Quiz Zone will be open on the Summit's last day for our delegates. So we look forward to your active participation until the very end. And we also have prepared a zone named Net Zero Town. At Net Zero Town, we have a stage and exhibition halls of the Summit topics. Moreover, at the stage, you'll be able to watch lectures on climate change. And if you click our Net Zero Challenge kiosk, you will be able to watch challenges submitted by the audience. And starting from today, by linking challenges, you can vote for your favorite one. The voting period is available until August 16th, and the winner will be announced on August 17th. So dear delegates, please don't forget to vote for your favorite challenge. And next, if you enter the exhibition hall, you'll be able to learn more about our topics, and you can also watch the Net Zero Challenge vlogs made by Summit delegates. Next is ASEAN-Korea Town. Here, you can visit all 11 member countries of the Summit. If you visit the country booth, you can learn more about the country in the special What's Here in My Country billboard, where our delegates share their daily lives and country news. Also, each country has its own visitor board where you can leave your comment, or maybe you can also leave a question you want to ask to your participants. Moreover, you can see the national signage made by our participants and a special networking zone as well. If you visit the cinema zone, you can find a video booth for each country. By clicking on the booth, you can watch the country introduction video and learn more about our participants from their PR self-introduction video as well. Of course, we couldn't make an AKYS World without a place where you can play games and get closer to ASEAN, Korea, and the Summit topics. Visit our entertainment zone and have a fun and productive time. And lastly, we'd like to ask you to visit our Metaverse by scanning the QR code that you can see on the screen, or you can just type 2022 AKYSZEP in your browser. And that was the introduction of our Summit Metaverse, ladies and gentlemen, to promote youth exchanges between ASEAN and Korea and friendship. Please visit our Metaverse before you leave. So next, to celebrate the opening of this year's ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, we have prepared a meaningful performance. We invited a performance team named Senori. Senori has been recognized as a social enterprise in the field of culture and art. Senori has been engaged in various performances such as music performance, playing instruments made entirely out of recycled materials. So the next stage will share beautiful music while responding to climate change, and it will also be very impressive to see they're taking action for a better environment actively. This opening performance became more meaningful since our participants also got involved in it, and you will be able to see their messages and thoughts on climate change and a green future. So, ladies and gentlemen, during the performance, we like to ask you to pay attention to the messages of our delegates as well. I believe they are ready to give us beautiful sound. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming 새놀이 with a big round of applause. 큰 박수로 환영해 주십시오.
Please give a very big round of applause, everyone.
Thank you very much for the wonderful stage. And ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big round of applause to Team Senori. Thank you very much once again for amazing performance and of course beautiful sounds and meaningful messages. With the messages of our summit delegates that you can see on the back of our screen and also the music sound that Senori team have delivered, we could think of our main theme of this year's summit once again and of course a greener future as well. So that was the performance to celebrate the opening of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit. And now let's begin our speeches. To begin the opening ceremony of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, we have prepared meaningful messages delivered by our distinguished guests. So first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Her Excellency Lee Ki-soon, Vice Minister of Gender Equality and Family of the Republic of Korea. Please welcome her with a big round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As introduced, I'm the Vice Minister of Gender Equality and Family. My name is Lee Ki-soon. I'd like to give a very big welcome to all of the delegations joining us online. And I was actually worried because of the heavy rain whether our Korean delegations would be able to join us on time, but it's so great to see you here in very good health. First, I'd like to thank Ms. Han Mi-young, the Acting President of the National Council of Youth Organizations in Korea, for putting together today's event. And I'd like to express my appreciation to Ms. Vong Vapani, the counselor from the Cambodia Embassy, and also His Excellency Tan Shin, the ambassador of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, and the delegations for joining us today. Also, thank you to Achala Abisinghe, the director and head of the programs at Global Green Growth Institute, and Ms. Ha-young Park, a member of the GEYK organization. I see a lot of our delegations joining us online, and I'm delighted to see our Korean youth delegation in person here today, and our youth delegations from 10 ASEAN countries joining us online. It's truly a delight, and I feel the support. You are the agents of the future, here to create a brighter world. Climate change has truly a significant bearing on our daily lives. Korea is known for having 4 very distinct seasons, but the summers are getting longer, with heat waves bringing temperatures well over 35 degrees, and winters are getting colder, with temperatures dropping further and further. The climate has changed so drastically that bananas, mangoes, and other subtropical fruits that we largely imported in the past are now harvested at scale in Jeollabuk-do province, located in the southern region of Korea. Climate change is particularly devastating to countries in the South Pacific, which includes ASEAN countries, as low-lying countries are disproportionately affected by floods and tsunamis caused by rising sea levels, as the seawater contaminates the drinking water supply and destroys crops. In the face of these challenges, some countries are gearing up to relocate their capitals to safer areas. In that sense, the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit is a meaningful event where we aim to put our heads together and share ideas about the role of ASEAN and Korean youths in fighting climate change. During our 4-day-long journey, youths from 10 ASEAN countries and Korea will join in debates, presentations, and various cultural exchange activities to map out solutions and plans of action for youths in the face of this global climate crisis. It will also serve as an invaluable opportunity for us to seek out new avenues of cooperation and communication as we build the ASEAN-Korea community. The theme of the summit is of extreme significance, and as such, the scope of the discussions will be very comprehensive. Global warming and achieving the 1.5-degree imperative requires extensive greenhouse gas and carbon emissions reduction, which is a monumental global challenge. Furthermore, bringing about healthy lifestyle changes for youths amidst the changing environmental landscape and carving out cooperative solutions among youths to deliver on the UN SDGs are some of the tasks that you will help flesh out. Climate change and climate action is a transboundary issue and problem of our time. A couple of years ago, at the age of 16, environmental activist Greta Thunberg delivered a speech at the UN. In her speech, she stated that you must take action, you must do the impossible, because giving up is never an option. Her words still ring true today. And I believe her statement is well aligned with the spirit of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, as you are gathered here to find solutions to seemingly impossible challenges. However, as we put our heads together and think long and hard about potential solutions, I'm confident that this summit will become the impetus for making the impossible possible. Distinguished guests, I hope that this summit inspires change in individual awareness about the challenges that befall us, and I hope that this venue serves as an opportunity for you to redefine the role of youths as active agents in our society and devise joint and practical solutions. If we put our words into action, I have no doubt that goodwill has the power to bring about miracles. On our part, the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family will take your recommendations to relevant organizations in ASEAN and Korea so that your dedication and invaluable opinions can have a broad-based impact. In closing, I hope that the range of exchange programs can help you to get to know each other better and build lasting relationships. Building a mutually prosperous ASEAN-Korea community rides on your shoulders. The mutual trust and solidarity among our youths will lay the groundwork for the ASEAN-Korea community. I wish you a fruitful and engaging summit. You are our future hope and our future. And I wish you all the success during the following 4 days. We hope to learn from you throughout the 4 days, and as the beacon of hope of our greener and brighter future, I wish you the very best. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vice Minister Lee Gi-sun, for your valuable support. And as our Vice Minister just mentioned, we also hope that you have a meaningful time with us developing global leadership through 4-day-long Global Summit. Thank you. And next, we will have welcoming remarks delivered by Acting President Han Mi-young of the National Council of Youth Organizations in Korea. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her onto the stage with a big round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Participants at the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit. Very glad to see you. My name is, I'm an acting president of National Council of Youth Organizations of Korea, and my name is Han Mi-young. First of all, I'd like to thank the Ministry of Gender, Equality and Family and Vice Minister Lee Gi-sun for hosting this summit. And my special thanks goes to all of you here. We have ambassador from Cambodia, and then we have ambassador from Myanmar, and ambassador or Chade Affair from Malaysia, and deputy chief of mission Zelda Ulankartka from Indonesia, Adrian Lee, deputy chief of mission from Singapore, and Deputy Chief of Mission from Laos, and Deputy Chief of Mission from Vietnam, and Consul General from the Embassy of the Republic of the Philippines. Thank you for coming. In 2020, the Korean ASEAN or ASEAN-Korean Youth Summit was the first launched with the mission of presenting new vision for the ASEAN-Korean communities through fresh perspective of the youth, and it now marks its 3rd anniversary this year. This year, with the COVID-19 seeming to improve, we hope that we might be able to see you in person. But for the sake of safety for all, we have made a decision to have this year's meeting virtual as well. I'm very sorry that we cannot see you in person, but on the other hand, I was able to feel the passion of the youth as I watch you actively engaged in pre-activities on various platforms such as video conferencing and Metaverse. Thank you for your active engagement. I believe that you have heard of the saying, "Youth is our future." This phrase means that you are our precious assets and hope who will lead our society in the future. I realize this is true as I see our young participants adapt much faster than anyone else to the new trend of non-contact based way of living and learn and use new technologies very fast. Things will change much faster, and our future will unfold in a way that we have never imagined. And those individuals or groups or communities who are unable to adapt to those changes may not be able to survive. In this context, we are very happy to see your spirit of leadership and challenge through this event. And I'm sure that we will have a bright future in our ASEAN-Korea community. Dear participants, in this summit, you will learn new things through in-depth conversations and adopt recommendations, which are the outcome of your joint effort. What is most important is our attitude that we take in the process of achieving that outcome. We need to acknowledge the difference among ourselves and respect diversity. We have representatives from different backgrounds, and starting with this understanding and trust-based relationship, we believe that we will be able to reach the summit's final goal of further developing the ASEAN-Korea community and sharing the sense of solidarity. There is a saying that great things are born and achieved only when you cooperate with others and through others. I think that this meeting, inviting more than 100 youth, is the first step that we can take to achieve a joint prosperity of ASEAN and Korea. We, at the National Council of Youth Organization of Korea, will not only support you so that you can achieve more meaningful outcome, but also continue to make efforts to further for future summits so that we can succeed what you have done. Last but not the least, I hope all of you enjoy the summit and your 4-day event and have a memorable time with other delegates. I wish all the best for the youth in ASEAN and Korean Summit. Thank you.
For speech and also organizing this meaningful event. And through active talks and our youth exchanges, we hope you to have a great time and to contribute to not only ASEAN and Korea society, but also to a net zero society. Thank you once again for your meaningful words. And next, we have a special congratulation video. So this time, please allow me to introduce His Excellency Dr. Lim Sok-hoi, Secretary General of ASEAN. He could not join us today here in person, but he has sent us a meaningful video. So ladies and gentlemen, now let's get our attention to the screen with a big round of applause.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to address the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, a key event in our youth agenda this year. The theme of the Youth Summit, namely on carbon neutrality, is a particularly important issue in the context of the current global efforts to mitigate climate change, especially in the implementation of the Paris Agreement. The United Nations Climate Change Conference held in Glasgow last year recognized that limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius would require rapid and sustained reduction in global greenhouse emissions, including reducing carbon emission to net zero by 2050 relative to the 2010 level. As you may know, Southeast Asia is one of the most vulnerable regions in the world to climate-induced disaster. It has affected our infrastructure, food security, and the well-being of our people. Notably, the Asian Development Bank estimated that the region has suffered financial losses worth $91 billion between 2004 and 2014 due to the impact of typhoon, storm surge, floods, drought, and earthquake. Moreover, extreme sea level events that used to occur once a century was now expected to strike every year by 2050. In low-lying cities like Jakarta, Manila, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City, Yangon, it means progressively more of the population will be impacted. The drastic changes in the weather, including stronger storms, more destructive droughts, have affected many of the region's economically important sectors, such as agriculture, forestry, fisheries. If food is harder to grow, it will push more people into poverty. All these will cumulatively have more impact to the future generations. Youth delegates, you face a unique window of opportunity to promote a greener and more inclusive future by accelerating sustainable development and leveraging on new growth opportunities such as digitalization. This will not only help our member states to reach their sustainability objective, it will also allow ASEAN to remain as an attractive trade and investment proposition for our global partners. To accelerate sustainable development, we adopted the ASEAN Framework for Circular Economy in October last year. This framework guides ASEAN in achieving our long-term goals of a resilient economy, resource efficiency, and sustainable and inclusive growth. It will also contribute to ASEAN member states' commitment to the Paris Agreement on climate change and the achievement of the SDGs. Financing is critical to enabling ASEAN to advance the sustainability agenda. The ASEAN Taxonomy for Sustainable Finance has been developed to introduce a credible classification system to attract investment into sustainable projects in the region. ASEAN is also leveraging on the digital economy and digitalization to tackle climate change, whereby the ASEAN Digital Master Plan 2025 promotes the greater use of digital services to reduce carbon emissions. Another example is the use of the ASEAN Guideline on promoting the utilization of digital technologies in the food and agriculture sector to reduce hunger and preserve our natural resources for future generations. Other sustainability efforts include nature and biodiversity conservation, combating marine debris, promoting sustainable management of forests, reducing energy intensity under the ASEAN Plan of Action of Energy Cooperation, encouraging sustainable land transport, and strengthening the region's capacity in managing climate-related disasters. Youth delegates, I have given you a brief summary of the ASEAN initiative in advancing a sustainable future. However, I would like to emphasize that all stakeholders must be involved in the process of implementing this initiative. The youth has an important role to play as your energy, innovation, and civics engagement will be crucial in ensuring the success of mitigation and adaptation projects, as well as fostering resilience among communities. ASEAN recognizes the significant role of youth in environmental and climate action. Every 25th November, we celebrate the ASEAN Youth in Climate Action and Disaster Resilience Day. At the 38th and 39th ASEAN Summit last year, ASEAN leaders welcomed the Bandar Sri Begawan Declaration on ASEAN Youth for Climate Action, which was developed by the ASEAN Youth. The declaration emphasizes the role of youth in the development, implementation, and evaluation of climate change policies and climate action in ASEAN. As this year, under the Cambodia's chairmanship of ASEAN 2022, has been designated as the Years of ASEAN Youth, the commemorative year reaffirmed the importance of our young people in decision-making and solving the pressing issue facing ASEAN today, including climate change and carbon neutrality. I'm confident that many youth champions and leaders in today's summit will lend a powerful voice and share their perspective in realizing carbon neutrality in the region. I thank you for your leadership in making a difference. To conclude, I would like to congratulate the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family of the Republic of Korea, the National Council of Youth Organization in Korea Educational Psychology Association, and the ASEAN University Network for convening today's summit. As ASEAN and the Republic of Korea come hand in hand to chart the way forward to a sustainable future, let us keep in mind the importance of continuous and progressive action to protect and preserve our environment. I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Secretary General Dato Lim Zokoy for sending precious messages. Thank you once again. Next, on behalf of the ASEAN Diplomatic Mission to the Republic of Korea, I'd like to invite a representative of the Kingdom of Cambodia, which holds the ASEAN for 2022. Due to the urgent schedule, Her Excellency Zirong Bothom Langsei, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Cambodia, will not be joining us today. However, Councillor Ek Bong Vatani will read the message. So let's welcome her with a big round of applause.
Good afternoon. This afternoon, I have the honor to represent Her Excellency Zirong Bothom Langsei, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Cambodia, since she has another urgent engagement. So I would like to convey her congratulatory remark for the event today. Excellency Lee Ki-sun, Vice Minister of Gender, Equality and Family of the Republic of Korea, Mrs. Han Mi-young, President of the National Council of the Youth Organization, Excellency Ambassador, and colleague from ASEAN Diplomatic Mission, all beloved ASEAN and Korean youth, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to express my sincere gratitude with a great pleasure to the National Council of Youth Organization for extending the invitation to me to this opening ceremony of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit. I do have a strong belief that the theme of this year's summit, carbon neutrality and ASEAN-Korea youth, is definitely reflect the active participation of the young people in addressing the global challenges, including climate change, which is a major agenda of ASEAN and Republic of Korea government, and to which achieving carbon neutrality in 2025 is our common goal, contributing to reducing global warming. Achieving carbon neutrality is our task. We should not continue to risk living in an unstable planet with a dangerous environment that is obviously harming the harmony of humanity. So this is the most appropriate time for us to show our solidarity work together and continue our effort to combat climate change, since addressing this issue is a matter of all stakeholders, not just 1 year or 2 years, but for years to come, for saving our planet to be a better place to live our life. For contributing to climate action, Cambodia began the years of 2022 as the first nation in Southeast Asia to publish a plan to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. The roadmap, known officially as a long-term strategy for carbon neutrality, was submitted to the United Nations Convention on Climate Change on the 30th of December 2021. This fulfilled the promise of our Prime Minister Hun Sen to present such a plan by the end of 2021, and it followed on the heel of Cambodian government pledge at COP26 Glasgow last November to reduce Cambodia greenhouse gas emission by more than 40% of median level by 2030. According to the Minister of Environment of Cambodia, implementation of the above-mentioned strategy in Cambodia is expected to increase the nation's GDP by nearly 3% and create some 449,000 jobs by 2050. Indeed, forestry sector reform and the promotion of low-carbon agriculture and good production process will lead the way to a greener economy and more sustainable prosperity for all. On the same note, Cambodia has a 400 megawatt foothold in solar energy development. The country is steering away from coal-fired power generation, and hydropower development in the Mekong River has been ruled out. Meanwhile, Cambodia is seeing reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation in developing countries, and Cambodia is committed to reduce deforestation by half by the year 2030 and to reaching zero emission in the forest sector by 2040. To the 26th session of the Conference of the Party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement, ASEAN member states have reaffirmed the commitment by upholding the principle of the equity and common, but different responsibility and respective capability in light of different nation circumstances by communicating respective nationally determined contribution, strengthening ASEAN capability to prevent, mitigate, and manage climate-related disasters, promoting sustainable management of forests, including through the implementation of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change decision on reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation, continuing to achieve sustainable progress of the energy efficiency program, welcoming cross-ASEAN pillar cooperation, acknowledging Brunei Darussalam ASEAN 2021 chairmanship initiative of establishing the ASEAN Center for Climate Change in Brunei Darussalam. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, the Youth Summit today does play a role as a platform for ASEAN and Republic of Korea youth to interact with one another on various activities. Youth is the main driving force behind the guidance of the elder, and I firmly believe that they are really willing to join their government and come up with the ideal vision for further action to achieve carbon neutrality by using this summit to advocate for ways to solve this challenge to attain our common goal for all nations. Taking this opportunity, may I congratulate once again to the National Council of Youth Organization and the Ministry of Ministry of Gender, Equality and Family for gathering this the ASEAN and ASEAN youth in this summit. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all attendees for your active participation, and I wish the summit with the successful and fruitful outcome and for unforgettable memory among our youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again, Councillor Ekvong Vatami, for a meaningful message. Thank you once again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to know a little bit more about our delegates. You might know each other, but at this special occasion, we like to have and share this video for the introduction of our delegates and their countries. Also, you'll be able to learn more about pre-activities that we had 1 month earlier, the official launch of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get our attention to the screen with a big round of applause.
Brunei is a small nation located on Borneo Island that has two special features. Number one is its greenery, such as Bulutumurun National Park and Eco-Botanist Garden, and second is massive and beautiful mosques that symbolize the country's official religion.
Hello everyone, welcome to Cambodia. Our country is located in the Southeast Asia and the capital city is Phnom Penh City. So the most popular temple in Cambodia is Angkor Wat, and one of the most precious Khmer traditional dance is Apsara dance. Thank you.
Hey, do you know Indonesia is a wonderland? With the third largest island in the world, with 715 languages spoken. The second top variety of ethnicity country. Obviously, the largest archipelagic country in the world with 17,000 islands.
Korea is located in East Asia and the capital is Seoul. Korean traditional foods, kimchi, bulgogi, and bibimbap, and traditional clothes are humble. These are famous Korean and Korean video in worldwide. Thank you.
បាទបន្ទូល Monument as landmark in Laos បាទមួយជាប្រាសាទអែនឡងរបស់ as World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Flower of Lao Nation called like Champa. Local food name is lab and papaya salad with sticky rice. You should be tried.
Hello, my name is Razita and I'll introduce you a little bit about Malaysia. The capital city of Malaysia is Kuala Lumpur and our country is located in Southeast Asia. Malaysia is known for being a multiracial country and these are some of the cultures that can be found in Malaysia. Thank you.
Mingalaba, when we say Myanmar, we believe everyone can picture the shape of land surrounded by good and bad quotas. If you want to learn more about fine art, you can visit Dubaga, recognized by UNESCO as Myanmar Historical Cultural Heritage Site. You are invited to taste mohinga and tea salad. You will always be warmly welcomed by Burmese people with traditional makeup and nakha wherever you visit Myanmar.
Mabuhay! Welcome to the Philippines. Here you will see beautiful attractions like no other. Because of the Philippines' rich history, the country has a unique culture with all kinds of peoples and backgrounds.
Hi, we are from Singapore and one thing that is special about us is our local food. We have a wide range of local specialties ranging from
With the longest city name in the world, Bangkok is the capital city of Thailand. Located in Bangkok, the Temple of the Emerald Buddha is within the grounds of the Grand Palace.
It's not only beautiful and impressive, but also has a long history about Thailand. Don't forget to visit here when you come to Thailand.
Vietnam is famous for the breathtaking natural beauty. We have the biggest cave in the world, Sơn Cave, and lots of other landscapes waiting for you to come and explore. The friendliness of the Vietnamese people is something foreign tourists cannot forget. So just feel as home when you have a chance to visit Vietnam.
Thank you very much for sharing meaningful video. It was a precious video and a moment where we can meet our delegates and learn more about their countries. And by having the video, now we all recognize that this year's summit is not an event only for 4 days, but we have worked together for a month of free activities. So, ladies and gentlemen, why don't we give a big round of applause to all of our delegates who worked very hard for quite a long period of time. Let's give a big hand to all of ourselves. Thank you so much for your participation and hard work. I think the video was not enough to fully express the passion of our participants. So now I'd like to ask each nation leaders on behalf of their nation to give a short interview on the reason why they decide to participate in this year's summit. We'd like to give a floor to our nation leaders, starting from Brunei till Vietnam in the alphabetical order, and they will share with us their motivation to participate in this year's summit. So let's watch the screen with a big round of applause.
As youth, we are often taught to use our voices and speak out on social issues or injustices. I hope that with our participation in the ASEAN Summit, we'll be able to utilize our knowledge, our ideas, and most importantly, our voices to enact changes into the world.
By participating in 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, we Cambodian participants are ready to contribute to this movement of improving our networks and solving the environmental issues of carbon emission in our region. So therefore, we must act now as one and for the sake of our green future. So let's do this, everyone.
I'm super excited to be a part of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit. I hope to have amazing discussions with everyone from different backgrounds, and I hope to learn more on what we as youths can do to push our respective countries towards carbon neutrality, promote SDGs, and push environmental consciousness in our policymakers. We all have a long way to go, but I know we can do it together.
From this event, I hope to build networks with fellow ASEAN youth and utilize our creative and critical thinking skills to develop suggestions for achieving net zero and SDG implementation in ASEAN and Korea. I believe that global warming is a global issue that we should work together as a world. Thank you.
By participant 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, first, I have great to join in this summit, and I would to get a new knowledge from each country about environment technology and sharing about ideas to solving issues together. Thank you.
I hope by participating in this Asian Korean Youth Summit 2022, I can enhance my leadership skill, expand my network, and also solve the environmental issues together.
As a delegate of this year's ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, I hope to be one of the change makers for the sustainable green future of ASEAN region in strategic partnership with the Republic of Korea. I also hope to promote people-to-people relationship from this summit. Thank you.
It is a massive issue and many people do not care anyway. My choice won't matter. It's usually what people say regarding global issues. As the youth continues to be more involved in state building, it can be overwhelming how we can be the catalysts of change that we wish to see. This summit is a reminder that we have a choice. So together, let us make a conscious choice for a sustainable future.
ASEAN and Korea enjoy a close and strong partnership that has spanned several decades. And this year's ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit presents an invaluable opportunity for youths to contribute to the deepening and flourishing of ASEAN-Korea cooperation. I'm immensely excited to engage in constructive dialogue with fellow youths from ASEAN and Korea and advance a more inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous future in the region.
2022 AKY Summit brings global issue into the eyes of young endeavors. I'm pleased to be a part of the summit. And remember, we all are one to create environmental awareness and changes. Thank you.
Hello, it is my great pleasure to join the 2022 ASEAN-Korean Youth Summit. And the summit brings fellow young people a precious opportunity to gather, exchange, and build ideas for a better future of our community. Ignoring the cultural differences and language barrier, we came together to exchange and to show us the better idea for our community.
Thank you. So let's give a big round of applause once again to all of our delegates. It was a great chance that we can meet this year's representatives. And here today, we received video messages from representatives of the 2021 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit delegates. So ladies and gentlemen, now let's meet our former delegates with the screen. So please welcome them with a big round of applause.
Hello delegates, I'm Sujin Kim from the Republic of Korea. I participated in 2021 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit as a group leader of Group 1-1. Engaging in active discussions with my fellow delegates from ASEAN countries, I could guide our session to successful conclusion. On these grounds, I truly hope that in this year's conference, young leaders from all across the ASEAN community would make collective efforts to discuss the common problem and shared solution. All the very best delegates.
สวัสดีครับ Greeting all AKYS participants this year. My name is Jimmy, a Thai national leader in 2021 AKYS. To me, my experience with AKYS is unforgettable and special to my heart because I was able to not only learn so many takeaways from this event, but also build a strong network of all passionate youths from Asian countries and South Korea who want to bring about changes to our country to make them better places. I hope this video could be your inspiration to make use of this experience and just have fun with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And don't forget that we also have the Homecoming Day event upcoming November. We would like to meet our former participants once again. And thank you for delivering the meaningful messages as well. And now it's time for the celebratory ceremony. I think that will be the highlight of today's session. Since we're running today's summit in a dual format as we announced earlier, we have online and on-site participants. So we have prepared a hybrid ceremony. Now I'd like to ask everyone to turn their attention to the screen and see what this special performance will be. Let's look at the screen.
Hi, I'm from Brunei. One of the nation's strategies for carbon neutrality is zero waste. Also, Thai Money Living is a store aiming to reduce carbon footprint. Lastly, Enevo provides sustainable solution for waste paper. What about Cambodia?
Hi everyone, I'm Li Jiang from Cambodia. I would like to introduce our long-term strategy for carbon neutrality in Cambodia. In this strategy, we aim to expand the forest and use technology to create more renewable energy. What about Indonesia?
Indonesia has committed to a pledge to maintain the remaining natural forests to achieve carbon neutral Indonesia. And as youth, we can also create a waste management app that applies circular economy principles to a community environment. So yeah, what about you, Korea?
Hi, we are from Korea and our country is conducting an eco-labeling system like this in order to promote the consumption of low-carbon products. What about you, Laos?
I'm from Laos. In my own country, we use a bottle of water is using many times. Repeat to use plastic of bottle. What about you, Malaysia?
Hi, we are from Malaysia. Malaysia is committed to become a carbon neutral nation by 2050 and aims to work closely with countries with similar vision through the Asia Zero Emission Community. What about you, Myanmar?
Hi, we are from Myanmar. The environmental activists in Myanmar are trying to reduce the locust respiratory problem because of carbon emission with many approaches, like encouraging to use other modes of transport than petrol fuel gas and choose to buy energy efficient appliances in our daily life. How about the Philippines?
Hi, welcome to the Philippines. How about you, Singapore?
Hi, we're from Singapore. Singapore is working on the exploration of the adoption of advanced low-carbon technologies, such as carbon capture, utilization, and storage, and low-carbon hydrogen. What about Thailand?
Thailand.
three pillars serve as nation strategy. 1. Bio-renewable resources. 2. Adaptation of fuel. And 3. Transformation of vehicle. What about you, Vietnam?
Hi, we are from Vietnam. The current solution of our government is to plant 1 billion trees from 2021 to 2025 and receive amazing support from many cities. And what about you?
So through this video prepared by our delegates, we are able to meet what steps ASEAN and Korea make to tackle climate change. From their examples, we can see how everyone is acting to mitigate the climate crisis. And for the answer to our delegates' question, what about you, is that we are on the same path for a green and bright future. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite our distinguished guest onto the stage to join this meaningful ceremony. So please come up to the stage. 네, 지금부터는 저희 기념 세레모니 함께 해주실 내외 귀빈 여러분들을 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다.
May I please ask the VIP members to please come up to the stage.
Guests coming up to the stage, I would like to briefly introduce this ceremony. So planting trees will help stop climate change, reforestation, and fight climate change, and of course uplift communities and restore biodiversity as well. So we have our distinguished guests on the stage, and in order to celebrate this year's summit and open this year's 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, we would like to have a special ceremony that please put the water on these beautiful plants. As plants grow, they help stop climate change by removing carbon dioxide and the air, restoring carbon in the trees and the soil, and of course, releasing oxygen in the atmosphere. I hope everyone is now ready to join this meaningful ceremony. So I would like to count down from 3, 2, 1, and please water on the plants. 네, 제가 지금부터는 3, 2, 1 하고 영어로
I am going to be counting down from 3 to 1. When I say 3, 2, 1, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause while our VIPs water the beautiful flowers in front of you.
3, 2, 1! This ceremony symbolizes that all our online and on-site participants and distinguished guests making a step towards a bright green future. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause once again. Thank you so much. If everyone will plant at least one tree, this will take a huge forest that can help to stop climate change. We would like to once again introduce our distinguished guests who are joining us today. Young, Acting President of National Council of Youth Organizations in Korea. So please wave your hand toward camera. 여러분 큰 박수로 다시 한번 환영해 주시면 고맙겠습니다. Thank you so much. And we had her message earlier. Now, please join me in welcoming once again Ms. Ek Vongbatani, counselor from the Cambodia Embassy, on behalf of Her Excellency Sirong Botong Langse. So once again, let's welcome her with a big hand. Thank you. And next, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Tan Sin, ambassador from the Myanmar Embassy. Thank you for your time. Thank you. And last but not least, today we're joined by Mr. Romulo Victor Israel Jr., Career Minister and Consul General from the Philippines Embassy. Please welcome him with a big hand. Thank you once again. And since we're joined by more distinguished guests now, why don't we take another picture, commemorative photo with our online participants and on-site participants. 네, 저희 내외 귀빈 여러분께서 더 많이 함께해 주신 관계로 기념사진 촬영 한 번 더 진행하겠습니다. 좌석에 앉으신 상태로요.
Please stay in your seats and look into the camera in front of you.
The stage. And let's wave hand once again. 저희 다시 한번 반갑게 또 인사를 나눠보도록 하겠습니다. Please wave your hand. And online participants, please maintain your pose for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And this will be the final photo shoot. And let's make another finger heart. 네, 마지막 기념 사진 촬영입니다. 여러분, 저희 손아트 한번
This will be the last photo session, so make a heart with your fingers. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause to each other once again. Thank you so much. The first speaker is Dr. Sheila Evisinger, the Asia Regional Director and Head of Programs at GGGI. Dr. Sheila Evisinger was also the lead author of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC chapter on Climate Resilient Pathways for its fifth assessment report. In 2015, she was nominated as one of the top 15 female climate champions in the world, in the recognition of her role in negotiating the Paris Agreement on climate change. So today, she will be delivering her keynote speech under the topic of Youth for Green Growth. So now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Sheila Evisinger to the stage. Let's welcome her.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and all the representatives of the ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's an honor to be here. And I would like to begin by thanking the ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit organizers for inviting me to deliver a keynote speech at the summit. And also my special thanks to Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, as well as National Council of Youth organizations in Korea. I must say I'm humbled by this opportunity. What an inspirational event. It's great that some of us adults are invited to this event to be inspired from the youth generation today. And I must say that I will go back inspired and thinking that we need to do more. There was a question on the screen when we were listening to the youth delegates. They are taking actions and they are changing the world. And the question was, what about you? What would you do? And I'm honored to present some of the actions that we take at the Global Green Growth Institute and how we may even further work with the youth, the younger generation in the world, to achieve the targets of the Paris Agreement as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. I would like to start by perhaps a bleak, maybe not so a nice note, but I think it's the reality today that we are in. I think the unprecedented floods that we saw yesterday in Seoul is a bleak reminder of the future, the present as well as the future that we are facing. And we faced heavy floods yesterday. Seoul lost at least 8 lives to floods, and number of people are still missing. Torrential rain knocked out power and also left roads and subways submerged. As I speak, the rainfall continues. And so I did some research this morning to understand the changes of rain pattern in South Korea. What's happening here in this country? Just to understand and put things into perspective in terms of what's happening in rest of the Asia, I think this is an example that we can really take into heart and take action. In 2020, the monsoon recorded a total of 42 human casualties, dead or missing, and over 8,000 flood victims in South Korea. The heavy rain also brought deadly landslides. Agricultural land was inundated, and tens of thousands of livestock died, swept away in rapids. Research says that the floods in 2030, in few years' time, will be nothing like what we experienced yesterday. It will be much worse, and with the projected number of flood victims at around 3.3 million people in South Korea alone to floods. Frequency and intensity of heavy rains are largely due to climate change, and we all know that. Now, let's come to youth. Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, an Indian activist, said that the power of youth is the commonwealth of the entire world. No segment in the society can match with the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of the young people. So the opportunity and the crisis that we are facing is a triple one. It's a climate crisis, it's a biodiversity crisis, and it's a sustainability crisis. The climate and biodiversity crisis have come incredibly close, so close that now we are talking about less than a decade, which might be the last chance for humanity to avoid really serious consequences for future generations. And this is an urgent issue for everybody, for politicians, for all the stakeholders in the world, all the public at large, and finding a better way to have young voices actively engaged in that discussion, and this is a critical moment for that. I'm saying this because, as I mentioned before, in youth we have a commonwealth for the entire world that cannot be matched with anything else. There are a few other reasons why I say this. Today, the youth may be around 25% of the world's population, but it is the 100% of future. So we really have to work with the youth of this world to make a change. And if we are really serious about making a change, that is the only way that we can progress. I also want to focus on sustainable transformation necessary in developing countries. Majority of the world's youth live in developing countries. ASEAN, that is the home to many of you, is the home to a very large portion of the world's young people. And having a magnitude of population of young people offers us a golden opportunity to accelerate sustainable development and address climate change. And to do this, we need to ensure necessary policies are in place and substantial investments are in place, as well as conducive environments are created for the youth. I believe that empowering today's generation of young people is our only chance to avert the triple crisis that I mentioned and achieve sustainable development. There are many governmental, non-governmental organizations, as well as civil society organizations, businesses, individuals who are working in sustainable development. And I'm extremely privileged to represent one of the organizations that's making a change in the world under the leadership and guidance of our president and the chair, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. I'm sure you know His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, who is the former Secretary General of the United Nations, and he's leading us, he's guiding us to make this change under the Global Green Growth Institute. And I'm privileged and honored to represent Asia and lead the Asia program as the director and the head of the programs, as well as not just the main whole Asia, but also working quite closely in the ASEAN region, because I heard how inspiring all the youth, the younger generation is in the ASEAN region. We have a unique in-country presence and prominent role as a neutral and a trusted advisor and a strategic development partner. And one uniqueness is that we are embedded in the governments. We are not an organization that's working outside of the government. We are working closely hand in hand with the governments who are members of GGGI. And currently we have 44 member countries. And our operating model is maximizing having the potential to translate green growth strategies and policies into green investment plans, mobilizing green finance commitments needed to bolster support for low carbon and climate resilient economic development, and strong institutional capacity development. And the vision is a low-carbon resilient world of strong, inclusive, and sustainable growth, which is the vision and the motto of this summit as well. And we support our members in the transformation of their economies to a green growth economic model. And as I mentioned, we work as a trusted advisor to our member governments. I wanted to talk a little bit about our strategic outcomes because they are very closely linked to the Sustainable Development Goals that we are talking about. So there are 6 strategic outcomes that we are working on: reducing greenhouse gas emissions, creation of green jobs, increasing access to sustainable services, improving air quality, supplying ecosystem services, as well as enhancing adaptation to climate change. And the strategic outcomes are achieved through a number of operational priorities, and these are the priorities that the youth today were talking about when they were giving the message to us and asking, what will we do? And I'm, again, as mentioned, honored to present that we are working on all those priority areas, catalyzing and accelerating access to climate finance, green investments for public as well as private sectors, achieving a sustainable and circular bioeconomy, making cities and communities sustainable, livable and resilient, supported through green jobs and green infrastructure, accelerating progress in our country programs in poverty eradication, gender equality through our operations, as well as strengthening policy planning, regulatory frameworks, and institutional capacity in our countries. One unique area that we are quite proud of is called green investment products and services. And this actually places us uniquely compared to other intergovernmental organizations. We not only work on policies and we not only work on strategies and assessments, but we actually convert the ideas into bankable projects to bring in finances necessary for our governments. And we design innovative financial instruments such as green bonds and debt for climate, debt swaps for climate or nature, for example. And we also establish national financing vehicles such as trust funds or credit guarantee corporations to support our countries. Some results that I wanted to show. This is coming from our 2021 annual result. And without going through all of this, I wanted to mention perhaps highlight the green investment services, the number $7.1 billion that we have mobilized within the last few years, particularly around green bonds as well as other funds that I mentioned, and also importantly the policy work that we have done in terms of thinking about long-term vision for countries and supporting countries to really have a policy direction beyond, that goes beyond one single project or a program. Now, I wanted to talk about the Paris Agreement a little bit. I think at the introduction, the colleague mentioned that I was part of negotiating the Paris Agreement, and this is one of the proudest achievements of my life, and I hope that I actually motivate the youth here at this meeting by showing the original copy of the Paris Agreement. This is the one that was adopted on 12th December 2015, and I was part of the negotiating team, and I'm extremely proud to say that through days and nights of negotiations with 196 countries, we achieved this unique, unified multilateral treaty that brings all the countries together for a longer-term vision on climate change and actions on climate crisis. And one of the main things, main articles of the Paris Agreement is Article 12 of the Paris Agreement. And if you haven't read it, please have a look. That Article 12 of the Paris Agreement is what brings the youth into the Paris Agreement. It's all about education and awareness. And it doesn't stop by just education and awareness. The action plan to implement the Article 12 of the Paris Agreement takes all the countries beyond just an article of the agreement to really encourage countries to think about the youth, the younger generation, and how we develop skill set, how we bring education into the action to really motivate the youth for climate action. And GGGI in the last few years alone supported around 30 member and partner countries to enhance nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. I think many of you know, as the nationally determined contributions stand today, they are largely inadequate to keep the temperature well below 1.5 degrees, and therefore we really have to push for more ambition by each and every single country. And there I think the youth has a very strong role to play, not by raising your voice and you know, trying to guide and help the government to do the right thing for your future, but also being optimistic and taking the innovation into your hands and taking therefore innovative actions for your future. I wanted to talk about our operations in Asia. I'm the director of Asia, and we have 15 countries, and majority of ASEAN countries are members of GGGI. So these countries are mentioned here: Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos PDR, Myanmar, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam are our ASEAN member countries, and we are having discussions with Singapore, Malaysia, and also Brunei to see if we can start programs in those countries as well. Some examples of our work in some of the ASEAN countries on all the programmatic areas that I mentioned on green investment, climate action, sustainable landscape, coastal resilience, waste management, sustainable mobility, green buildings, solar PV, and renewable energy and green industries. I would be very happy to talk about these programs that we have in the countries if you are interested to know more. One thing I wanted to mention here is that we have a very strong relationship with ASEAN as well as the Korean government to implement these projects. So I'm really grateful for the leadership and the support that we receive from the ASEAN as well as the Korean government to implement these programs. What's beyond the isolated or individual projects and programs is something that I would like the youth to think today. One of your mottos today is net zero emissions and beyond net zero emissions. So I think one area that we have to really think about if we are very serious about net zero target is powering Asia past coal. Right now, the coal is a heavy contributor to the energy as well as the rest of the power sector in ASEAN. More coal power plants are being built. And this morning I read around 12% of the world's coal power plants are in ASEAN. So we really have to think about, not to tell our governments that you really have to stop powering your country through coal, but actually to show alternatives. There are alternatives, the renewable energy options that already exist, and the technology already exists, and the technology is becoming cheaper. So the governments, our political leaders, have to think differently to how we give access to energy or provide energy to our industries without having coal. And it's not to say that stop coal today, but to say there are alternatives, and let's really be very serious about bringing those alternatives on board. And we have to think about beyond decarbonization. Okay, if we stop all carbon emissions today, what happens tomorrow, right? We really have to be very serious about what is beyond that. And those include thinking about energy efficiency, which means for example, our buildings. How do we cool our buildings, or how we heat our buildings? How do we change our building code to bring in more energy efficiency? What are the industries that can be green and that can really contribute to continue that decarbonization in our countries? What are the options for electric mobility? Right now, the combustion engines are extremely powerful and a huge contributor to carbon emissions. So we have to think about infrastructure for electric vehicles, energy supply through renewable energy for electric vehicles, for example. Circular economy and waste management. I was so pleased to hear the youth colleagues talking about the recycling and reducing plastic, etc. So we really have to think about managing our waste, but at the same time making it circular so that we don't really rely on a lot of imports and exports. And then green jobs and green businesses. Unless we continue to build and introduce new green jobs and new green businesses, that powering Asia past coal or beyond Asia decarbonization is going to be very difficult. This is an opportunity for our youth. This is an advantage for our youth to really think about what green jobs that you can go into, what green businesses that you can introduce to, and how the governments should really be supporting those ideas and innovation, and vice versa. It's not for just the youth to say that this is what I want to do, but also adults, the governments, the private sector, and everybody to come in to introduce green jobs and green businesses. And I heard from the Secretary General of the ASEAN Cooperation saying how vulnerable ASEAN countries are. So even if we stop all the emissions today, our countries, our cities are still going to be flooded because the carbon dioxide emissions that we've already emitted are going to stay in the atmosphere for around 100 years or so. So therefore, the impacts will be felt for so many years to come. And therefore, building resilience, strengthening resilience is extremely important. And those include nature-based solutions, so planting trees, amazing approach, but there are also so many other nature-based solutions that we can think about, climate-smart agriculture, as well as building resilient cities. Now, I wanted to highlight some examples of how GGGI works with the youth. One example is our Green Entrepreneurship Program. We have a global program where we call for proposals from youth who have innovative ideas, as well as we have programs in a number of regions and countries, regions like Pacific and the Eastern Caribbean, and countries like Philippines, Rwanda, and Colombia. And we are also in Lao PDR now talking about introducing a Green Entrepreneur Program. And the idea is to support idea incubation as well as idea acceleration, and support our youth for networking as well as through mentoring to be really innovative. And we are also exploring opportunities to provide support to women and the youth in green digital entrepreneurship in climate vulnerable areas. We have a diploma course in Cambodia on green jobs, and also a global internship program at GGGI where we create opportunities for youth, and also each country program has an internship program. And then we are also building new partnerships. I just came back from a mission in Southeast Asia, from Cambodia to Lao PDR, and then I was in Vietnam. And one amazing opportunity that we had when I was in Lao PDR was to sign an MOU with Young Entrepreneurship Association of Lao PDR to really work together to support the or work in collaboration for innovation, entrepreneurship, climate technology, and private sector engagement. And we also have so many MOUs with universities where we actually try to bring in green innovation and green education to universities. And new areas such as green hydrogen, for example. We just signed an MOU with Kathmandu University in Nepal to develop green hydrogen programs in Nepal. This is some more information on our Green Entrepreneurship Program. Very happy to provide more details. If you are interested, please let me know. And these are some examples of how what GGGI has been working on in terms of working with youth. We had a very meaningful and very useful dialogue on role of youth in climate action in 2021. We have MOUs with Africa Regional Youth Connect Africa, for example, and these are some photos from Lao PDR 2 weeks ago when we signed an MOU with Young Entrepreneurship Association in Lao PDR. Now, finally, I want to say that I think you all know that young people have been very active and also architects in terms of developing the Sustainable Development Goals, but it doesn't stop there. You are taking things into your hands in terms of implementing as well as reviewing and improving as well. And the active engagement of youth in sustainable development is central to achieving, if we are to achieve meaningful outcomes and also making it inclusive and also stable societies and averting these worst threats that we are facing today. And everyone has to listen to the youth. I think we all know that and we all agree with that. Whether it's happening enough or not is the question, but we mustn't be disheartened or give up in our efforts in terms of bringing in youth to our work. And education, skills development, and job creation, I think, are the main key elements or ingredients of this whole menu of things that we are going to do, because the young people have to see this as an opportunity. You are not a victim, you are not suffering from it alone, but you have to see it as an opportunity, so we all work together, and sometimes the youth, I think, can guide the adults in terms of doing things better. And I really look forward to working with ASEAN youth and also the Korean government and all of you who are attending this meeting today and who may be listening later to improve our work and actually be guided by you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Chila Ebesinger, please remain onto the stage for the Q&A session. Please take your seat. And ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big round of applause to our keynote speaker, Dr. Chila Ebesinger, once again. Thank you so much for your precious and meaningful words today. So it was really meaningful words that you mentioned. We have to find better ways to cope with the crisis of climate change that we're facing now. And those opportunities exist in every sector in the world. Young generation, youth is no exception. I think that was big support to all of our delegates for joining us both online and offline. And she also introduced GGGI works with the youth as well. And it's really a rare and a special occasion that we can hear some examples from Dr. Chila Ebesinger in person. So thank you very much for sharing your words. And during pre-activities, we have announced our keynote speakers and our delegates have to send us questions if they have. So I do have a lot of questions, but due to a time limit, I think we can have about 2 questions today. The first question we received from a participant is from Vietnam. An Nong Han Lei, is she joining us in real time? If you can hear my voice, can you please wave your hand? yes, I think she's joining us here online in real time. So I would like to read her question on behalf of our participant, Anlong Honlei. So the question is, the youth is one of the most powerful forces that can become leaders to contribute to change of the world. But there are also many adolescents that ignore this global issue. What can we do in order to change their perception to build up a larger force? That's the question. Can you please?
Yes, thank you so much. I think I'll start with where I stopped, which is to say that this is an opportunity. This is not a burden. Don't see yourself as victims, but see this as an opportunity. I'm a lawyer by training, and my grandmother thought I would be a judge one day. And now I'm working on climate change and sustainable development. Any job that you go to, any skill set that you develop, you can actually link that to sustainability and climate change. Whether you are a fashion designer or a fashion model, a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, or a media reporter, you can link this to your job, your skill set to sustainability and climate change. So see this as an opportunity. The finances are coming, the technology is coming, and they're actually already here. So the future is about climate action and sustainability. So please take this as an opportunity, not to see yourself as victims of the problem today. When I was at your age, at the youth, I didn't have the awareness. I didn't have the knowledge that you have today in terms of the problem that we are facing. Everybody, including my grandmother, is aware of the problem today. So we can pass that stage and say it's all about action, and let's do it together.
Let's do it together. Let's take action right now. Thank you for your meaningful message. And we do have one more question, so I'd read on behalf of our participant. And this time, the next question is from Korea. Sangjun Park is here with us at the venue. Yes. And so thank you for your question, and I would like to read on behalf of you. So his question is that, since your work is related with sustainable progressions of Asia countries, what do you think the biggest obstacle for implementing carbon neutrality is in Asia? That's the second question.
So for many of the Asia countries, we are developing countries, right? So there are millions of people without access to electricity, for example. So if I am to go to the government and my political leaders who are in the office for 5 to 6 years and tell them just stop burning coal and don't do it, it's not going to work. So I think the political will has to go hand in hand with opportunities for us to change and transform our economies, our societies. And right now, the biggest challenge, as I see, I work very closely in terms of implementing the Paris Agreement, is not having that long-term vision, and is not having that visualization of a better future, green cities, everyone driving electric cars, everyone having to work in a building that doesn't have to have air conditioning or heating all the time. Everyone having to enjoying a green park during their lunch hour. That visualization is not there, because we don't have the long-term policies. Most of our policies are very short-term and addressing the problem of yesterday, not the problem of today. So I think long-term policies giving direction of travel and also directing the short-term action is extremely important. And to be fair to our developing countries, the other problem that they are facing is financing. The funding available for climate action and for sustainable development action is limited compared to the investment coming in for not so green businesses, for example. So I think we have to be very clever and smart in terms of transforming the ideas into bankable projects, as I mentioned, and bringing in finances. And for that, I think the governments cannot do it it alone. It has to be together with the private sector. The private sector has to see this as an opportunity. Carbon neutrality and addressing climate change, addressing sustainable development goals as an opportunity to make profits, which is fine. For businesses, it's fine, it's necessary. But it has to be done in a sustainable way. And to do that, again, we need to bring in policy changes, and our political leaders have to have that long-term vision. And I hope the youth can change and help the adults to have that vision. And I think you are doing it really well. And when I listen to you, I feel more inspired, and I hope all of us, our political leaders, will be inspired by you in each and every single country that you come from. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I agree with her words that actually when we take some action for our climate change in our daily life, we actually cannot see big change right now. So as you just mentioned, long-term visualization, policies, and vision are all needed. So thank you very much for your meaningful word. So this was the first keynote speech delivered by Dr. Chila Abisinger. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give her another big round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we do have another keynote speech prepared for you. At this time, please join me in welcoming Ms. Park Ha-young, who is a project manager of the Green Environment Youth Korea, or GEYK. I believe it will be another great chance to have some meaningful words. And today, Ms. Park will be delivering her presentation entitled, "We Deserve More Than Survive." I think it will be all the more meaningful to all of our delegates because Ms. Park is the same age as our participants, and she will speak on the reason why the young generation will be affected by climate change and what kind of difficulties the young generation will face. So she's joining us here at the site. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her with a big round of applause. Once again, let's welcome them with a big round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and hello, everyone in abroad. It's my honor to deliver my story as one of a youth here in Korea. My name is Ha-young Park, a representative of Green Environment Youth Korea. Okay, thank you for. And today I would like to start my keynote speech by greeting, how are you this day? Because honestly, nowadays I feel like I'm living on tropical climate, even though I stay in Korea. Actually, let's think about a few days ago, because it was sweltering, but yesterday it rained heavily. So actually, today I plan to share my little secret about my summer routine, but I think it is useless in these circumstances. But anyway, when summer comes, I try to start my daily life a little bit earlier than usual, because I don't want to sweat. You know, who wants to be sweat anyway? And however, even though I leave my home at dawn, when I arrive at my office, I'm always sweating. So given this situation, I'm already worried about the next summer, and I can't even imagine. So here, the screen you see now is The Day After Tomorrow, which is a well-known dystopian movie. And the people in this movie cannot live due to natural disaster caused by climate change. And how about your imagination of upcoming days? And what kind of future do you envision? Maybe some of you dream of living in an apartment with a river view, or some of you hope to go camping with your family on every weekends. But unfortunately, however, the future we will face is not much different from the movie we can see now, and I will tell you the reasons. So here, let's go back to the last year, and these pictures you can see now are the scenery of the United States and Germany last year. So the photo on the left shows New Jersey, which has become a sea due to the Hurricane Ida, and the photo on the right side shows Germany in flood because of heavy rains across the Western Europe. So due to this horrible flood, more than 180 people died. And as you see now, due to climate change, on one side of the globe, the weather is unpredictable, and on the other side, people fundamentally worry about the place to live. So disasters caused by climate change are not limited to abroad. In March of this year, when the mountains started to change as the light green clouds, pillars of fires arose from the mountains in Uljin and Samcheok in Korea. So as the forest fire burned everything in that area, only green ashes are left. So there are no birds, no single animals, and also difficult to find the traces of people. So 2 years ago, the Han River Park was closed, and the only thing we could see was a half of Ai Seoul-yu, one of the Seoul's representative sculptures. So it was a moment to experience that no one is free from the climate change, and I have also witnessed it with my own eyes that climate change is no longer just news. It is more like my reality and a crisis for all of us. So some people, even watching the news that houses are shrunk under the heavy rain, they still say, that the climate change is not such a big risk for the country, even though the data in front of us foretells a green future. So the things we must remember is that this whole thing is an assumption based on now, and no one knows how it will be changed. As the tables on the right shows, the impact of climate change in their 20s is different with the 40s in 2022. In other means, the more you are younger, the more vulnerable you are, and the less bright future you will experience and dream of. So the dark future that lies ahead of the younger generation, who is the hope and future of the next society, is not a story after hundreds of years from now. Only 8 years from now, by the time an elementary school student takes the SAT, Han River Park will disappear under the water forever. And Incheon International Airport, a wonderful airport that competes for first and second place in the world, can only be found in textbooks, and the aspects of everyday life that we take for granted now will only exist in history, not in reality any longer. So now I want to talk about there is no planet B, and now it's time to transfer our relationship with nature. What do you think about the future that you have heard so far? And is it similar to the future you dream of or plan for, or is it something that you have never imagined? Countries around the world are working together against climate change, but unfortunately, at the current level, we will struggle to survive in the future, and we are called as the future generation, but in fact, it is more like a generation that can no longer dream of the future. The key message that I would like to convey is this: we are the future generation who cannot dream of the future. The only thing we can do is plan for the future is the way we struggle to survive. But there is some hopes we still remain. And what should we do to survive? How can we talk about the climate change as a young generation? I want to believe in the third power you have, and I bet you already you know the power of likes, share, and comments. And just as hashtag and a picture change the world, we can against climate change in the same way. When daily life changes, we can try a bigger step, and our daily life changes are based on the changing people's thoughts, and that's why I always focused on the people and do actions like like you see, sharing climate change story through social media and talking about climate change response with people through the clubhouse, and also delivering global climate change response trends by making newsletter. So to live like a human being, to be a survivor, I'm communicating with people today and saying like, I want you to join us in dealing with climate change. So changing common thoughts and attention in everyday life can be a driving force for all of us to take a step forward, and it's again becoming seed for a bigger change. As the saying goes, sometimes a picture is worth than 1,000 words. That means sometimes action like planting organic crops in the garden together, making vegan dishes, or gathering from all around the world and beginning to discuss how we can against climate change together are powerful to help more people get involved and interested in climate change responses. So, as I wrap up my story, I want to ask you a question again. What the future we can dream of? And what can we do so that we can enjoy our daily life more than just survive? If you still don't know what to do, I would like to suggest finding and doing what you can do in your daily life and starting something from where you're standing. And whatever you do, please remember that it would save everyone in the world, and the power we have is really that strong. So I sincerely hope that we can one day meet in face-to-face and do or plan something to regarding the climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we do have a Q&A session, so Ms. Park, please be seated on the stage. Thank you so much for your meeting for keynote speech. And ladies and gentlemen, why don't we give another big hand to our keynote speaker? Thank you so much. So her speech gave us an opportunity to think about what is living life in a clean and bright future. Thank you once again for your meaningful word. And as we did before, we like to have some questions from the floor. And I would like to have 2 questions, and I will read on behalf of our participants. So the first question we received from a participant is Aram Kong from Korea. Yes, she is joining us here. And her question is, it is clear that the participation of youth in climate change and the government's gathering of youth opinions are necessary. However, without proper education and information, it seems difficult to participate meaningfully and present options. What must be prerequisites for more effective youth participation? That will be the first question.
Okay, and of course it is important to learn about the climate change in school or university in other organizations, but I would like to say that is not the only way, because in my case, when I was elementary school, the only video regarding the climate change I saw was about the polar bear, and my teacher said, you know, guys, polar bears are crying now because of the climate change. No, actually, in that time, it was kind of global warming. So I would like to say, how about searching related information you want to check and asking someone to, how can I make this in action in reality?
Thank you so much. As she just mentioned, school, of course, is very important, but school is not only a way that we can get information from. I mean, we're joining this year's ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit, and this can be another opportunity for our delegates as well. Thank you for sharing the first question, the answer of the first question. And we do have one more question we received from Bunkuk Sonika from Cambodia, and she's joining us in real time, and I would like to read the question. How can we, as a youth, contribute to mitigating the impact of climate change? That's the question.
Actually, I mentioned about this with my keynotes, and I want to highlight one more, that if you don't think about, if you don't know where is the starting point, how about think about your daily life and what can I do in our daily life? And actually, in my case, it was the summer that hotter than the south part of globe. And also, I want someone to talk about and discuss about the climate change effects and also what kind of response we can do. So that's why I joined the Green Environment Youth Korea, aka GEYK, and started to convey my story through the clubhouse and through the newsletter. And also, I'm organized many kind of real activities like AWCYP. So I also joined the group, so I get an opportunity to discuss about the climate change, especially regarding the water issue with all around the youth in Asia.
Thank you so much. It doesn't have to be really huge, right?
Yeah.
We can just say our voice, our actual voice, and we can exchange our thoughts with our colleagues and, of course, with our youths of ASEAN and Korea. So thank you very much for a meaningful Q&A session and your keynote speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big round of applause. Thank you so much. So once again, we'd like to extend our sincere gratitude to all of our participants. And ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the opening ceremony of the 2022 ASEAN-Korea Youth Summit. During a 4-day-long summit, our delegates will participate in various discussions by groups and nations and other different programs as well. Moreover, through this discussion on 5 different topics, summit delegates will present the final recommendation at the closing ceremony, which will be held on August 12th, Friday at 2:30 p.m. Korean Standard Time. The closing ceremony will be broadcast live on the official YouTube channel of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family as well. So we'd like to ask for your active participation until the very end, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, thank you. And this has been Jessica Lee, and hope to meet you again on Friday. Thank you.